Hi, I'm Andrew Cobbing from the University of Nottingham, where at the Department of History I teach Japanese history. Much of it about the Edo period, and here we have some woodblock prints from that time, all by the famous woodblock print artist Kuniyoshi. He's most famous for his depictions of monsters, and we see some sea monsters, sea creatures, reflected in the four woodblock prints behind me. The first one, here on my left, shows a treasure ball being stolen from a dragon prince who has a palace at the bottom of the sea. And this is very reminiscent of the famous Japanese sea legend of Urashima Taro. The young man Urashima Taro, he is lured out to sea, he rides on a dolphin, he spends some time beneath the waves at the Sea King's palace. But as soon as he realizes he needs to get back to the land, he tries to go ashore, only to find that in his absence, decades have passed and he is now an old man with a long flowing beard. So it's all about different time perceptions between the land and the sea. On my right we have three very lavishly illustrated woodblock prints, all relating to the famous Minamoto family and the battles they had with the Taira family back in the 12th century. Then here we have Minamoto Tanetomo, the first samurai warrior who had a story about him committing suicide in the traditional samurai fashion. He was a famous war hero, a famous archer, but he had to escape from the Taira family on many occasions, and this shows him being rescued by sea goblins. Japan being Japan, surrounded by the sea, there are lots of different sea creatures, fabled beasts as well, so it's no surprise to see those here. The last two pictures are all about the feud between the Minamoto and Taira family, which resulted in the Battle of Dan-no-ura in 1185, when the Minamoto army chased the Taira literally into the sea. And here we have some of the Taira army preparing to die. Among them, I think, it's the nursemaid of the young Emperor Antoku, who, together with the nursemaid, leapt into the waves, taking the imperial regalia with them. And this was the end of a bitter civil war, which then ushered in the age of the samurai warlords in Japan, because the victor, the nephew, in fact, of Tanetomo down here, Minamoto Yoritomo, he then went on to become a shogun and found the first samurai shogunate in Japan. The last woodblock print, also by Kuniyoshi here, shows the attempted revenge by some of the Taira family, having been driven into the waves. We see the ghosts of the Taira family coming out of the sea to try and torment victors who had driven them beneath the waves. So as we can see, it's a rich mixture of legends and history, which were then depicted centuries later and were common knowledge among readers of the time here in the 19th century. And so these would feature as illustrations for picture books, as posters, all part of the woodblock print culture that was so characteristic of that age, and which, when the French merchants discovered, they took that back to Paris, and when artists, the Impressionists like Monet and Van Gogh, saw these woodblock prints, it sparked off the boom that became known as Japonism.